Well, now to resume the job, well, one thing you can guarantee about these bonnets and doing a job this way is that it's extremely noisy, so at some point you may have to turn the volume down a little bit. I've put a clamp on the far side there to attempt to hold the bonnet steady. Ideally, this should be done on a proper trestle. My proper trestles are 60 miles away, so I can't get them at the moment. Anyway, we'll do what we can here. As you can see, the area that I'm working on, the idea is to take the maximum amount of rust off and the minimum amount of metal, so it'll take it back to a point where it's acceptable to put some rust converter on it, and then that'll do the job, and it will also key the paint. This one I'm using at the present time is only a 40 grade, a 60 grade rather. This is a 40. A bit aggressive, but needs to stop off here. Okay, here we go. Doesn't do too bad a job of getting that off. The reason I'm feeling it, of course, is to make sure that I don't ever heat the metal underneath and cause sags and ripples from factory. Because of the large expanse of metal anyway, the surfaces are never smooth. And if you want to get the best finish on these bonnets, you've got to prepare them and then lightly bog them, just a skim bog, sand it back, put a high build cut over the top of it, sand it back, and then you should get a really good surface to work with after that. Anybody who thinks they can do that sort of an area and not get any whoops or bangs in it, and it's going to be perfectly smooth from the factory, is having themselves on. And believe me, I've had people here wanting that. If I keep doing that, it's going to take forever and 3 days to do it. So I'm going to swap over to the other grinder with the flat disc on it and use a little bit of that on there just to take the rough edge of that off and smooth it down with the old 4-ball. make sure of when you're using your cord that you keep it out of the way of the grinder. We'll let that cool down for a little bit. It's quite warm. Let that cool. You can feel the metals come up a bit because it's expanded. Let that cool down again. That'll tighten up. We'll get in the front and do a bit. A fair bit of that is actually back to factory undercoat there, and I do have a spot blaster and some very odd low spots there. I'll actually put the thing up against the vertical surface and just spot blast the odd spots where it's a bit of a problem. The rest of it can be smoothed out. Right, the heat's gone out like that. That's nice and tight where it should be. So we'll deal with this one again. These discs don't keep the cutting edge for very long, so you've got to be a bit careful about your judgment of when you change them. For instance, even though this feels very good, at the moment it's certainly not cutting as well as it was a few minutes ago. And the other thing I have to avoid is definitely damaging the surface here. It is quite flexible, but it's gone back to what should be there. So I may change it and certainly go through some pads during this, but they're cheap. I don't like the way it's not cutting, so I'm going to change it. We have a car cover under here holding this, stop it from vibrating too much. At the present time, I'll keep and use it on other surfaces. See the difference in the cut straight away. that pad again. There again, the pad's losing its cup, and the object of course is to keep from overheating the metal. A lot of guys get hold of big sanders and very rough grits, and they tear into these things like there's no tomorrow. Doesn't the job look like it? probably do that. There's some light pitting in the metal there, but that can be taken out with a bit of with some dioxidine and a Scotch-Brite pad. Just put that on there with a pair of acid-proof gloves and give it a good rub up. And it's amazing how much of that will lift out, and it'll be quite clean then. But just the one odd spot here, that's low there. It's low to about that area. All it needs is a flat dolly, a really thin one. Tool steel put underneath there and slapped around here, off dolly, to bring that up. And it will bring it up, and it does need the light skin bog over the top. That's a bit of fitting there, a little bit. There's a bit of fitting down here too, and a couple of odd spots, but they're only really a couple of thou deep, and that's about all. This side here, I'll give that a rub over later, and then I'll do the thing tomorrow morning. I'll come back and do it again with some dioxidine on the other side here. That one, that one, that one, and that one need to be done with a spot. They're a little bit deeper. They're about 10 thou into the top. And all they need, of course, is just a skin bog over the top. Just to do it. This one will come up beautifully. It's never been smashed, it's all square. There's no twits in it. On the other side there, needs a bit of work. They all rust on both sides. But again, it's only pitted stuff. You can get some epoxy fillers. I use them in place of bulk rather than put just common old bloody filler in there. I usually do them with a bit of epoxy after I key the panel. I use the epoxy filler in there and put it up. It comes up, can be drilled, sanded, smoothed. They even use it to fix engine blocks. It's that tough, and believe me, it is tough too. That's what I use in these sorts of things rather than go down the cheap and easy way. You get a job that lasts forever, the car will die before it does. Alright, that's it for today. I'll be back tomorrow.